So I wanted to talk about the SXSW media conference, the reaction to the two panels that were cancelled due to threats. The first panel was the SafePoint panel hosted by the Open Gaming Society, which was to feature proponents of Gamergate. The other panel was Level Up, hosted by Randy Harper. Randy Harper is the creator of the Gamergate auto blocker, and that was due to be a discussion about anti-harassment. And it's so tiring at this point how the media completely fails whenever they even approach the topic of Gamergate. The lack of research, omission of information, the bias is rather extraordinary. For example, this Jessica Valente recent article, this recent headline from The Guardian, it says, the movement Gamergate never ended its abusive tactics, but reared its ugly head this week to silence women who plan to speak harassment at SXSW. So again, both panels were cancelled due to threats, and according to the conference organisers, it seems it was against both panels, these threats. There's in Valente's article, notice how she frames this as it's harassment against women. In her article, she does not mention Lynn Walsh. She does not mention Mercedes. Both women who were due to be at the panel for SafePoint. She does not mention this in her article. It's absolutely transparent bias here. It's just ridiculous, and it's not the first time. It's not the first time that Jessica Valente has written about Gamergate. When she's written about Gamergate before, she framed it as a misogynistic movement, a movement of angry white men who want to take the culture back from women, and it's absolutely absurd. It's absolutely absurd. Completely obvious straw man. That was pretty early on, and just to know that was bullshit, all you really had to do was go onto YouTube and search for women of Gamergate, girls of Gamergate, not your shield, and search that on YouTube and Twitter. And there's so much there's so much shit shows. I'm trying to multitask here. There's so much that shows that's a false narrative and a completely ridiculous narrative. Jessica Valente, in a recent article, she also she does frame allowing this panel as the same thing as endorsing harassment and violence, and Lynn Walsh is the fucking president-elect of the Society of Professional Journalists, and she's being thrown in as being part of hate speech. It's fucking absurd, because they wanted to talk about fucking journalistic ethics at a media conference. It's so ridiculous. You also had Anita Sarkeesian talk out about the panel. She said on Twitter, SXSW should not give a platform to provide to proponents of hate speech, and she always does this. She always frames disagreement as hate speech, as harassment, as violence. She had that recent. She also had that recent Wired article where she says we need to broaden the definition of online harassment and abuse. And everyone's familiar with her UN speech, the UN speech where she's saying harassment is threats of violence, but it's also day-to-day grind of you're a liar and you suck. And she complains about music videos, or she complains about her videos that are criticizing her, and she calls it hate, and it's just a constant game of scaremongering in order to shut down discussion. And it doesn't matter you know, if a panel is hosted by a society, the Open Gaming Society that existed long before Gamergate, their manifesto is dated to 2013. You know, it doesn't matter if an Emmy award-winning journalist is due to appear at the panel. That's completely irrelevant. The panel is the same as endorsing hate speech. It's the same as practically the same thing as fucking violence. You know, it's absurd. It's so bizarrely Orwellian. You know, just going back to the way Valenti framed it. You know, this week the women were silenced who planned to speak at SXSW. Women were silenced, and they were on the Safe Point panel. You know, they were Mercedes, a proponent of Gamergate. She was silenced by the SXSW decision to drop these panels after the organisers received threats. No, this one-sided narrative is unacceptable. It's absolutely, completely dishonest. And basically, that's my piece. This sooner or later, this conversation has to happen in a more open way. You know, these people like Sarkeesian, they don't seem to. Shit, how am I gonna fucking get out of this? They just fuck it, whatever. They run away.